Welcome to Body Efficiency Training, and in this video we're going to be working on the best exercise for improving posture, and this I call dynamic standing. So I'm just starting off by warming up a little bit. I'm twisting left and right, and this is a very basic but universal body flow exercise, and here I'm just already trying to get the natural S-curve in the spine. I'm trying to feel the spinal alignment and just loosen up the whole body and start feeling that I'm moving towards a better alignment, a better structure and a better posture. And so we start off here with the easier version with straight legs. So you lock out the legs straight, squeeze the glutes a tiny bit, so you're pushing the pelvis forward a bit, but you're not tucking it under, so you've got a little arch in the lumbar spine, and you pull in the waistline, pull in the stomach, pull in the obliques, lift up the shoulders, lift up the rib cage, and just try and stand like that, and you're slightly on the ball of the feet, so your heels are just a little bit off the ground, and you're just trying to hold that in a little bit of a dynamic position, and you can see it's a continuous adjustment. I'm always moving about, making micro adjustments, because this is like balancing. Trying to find your right alignment, your best posture, is like balancing. You're balancing the bones inside your body. You've got to balance the hips on the ankles, and you've got to balance the shoulders on the hips, and you've got to keep the spine in its natural S-curve with a little bit of a spring in it, and that spring is in the lumbar arch. So you do want a little lumbar arch, but you've got to counteract that by pulling in the waistline, the chi belt. So the chi belt is comprised of the TA muscle, the transversus abdominis muscle. This is the one that pulls in your stomach, your belly towards the spine, and the obliques, which pull in the sides. So you want that tight pulled in, and that counteracts the stretch and the arch in the lumbar. And you open up the rib cage and tilt the sternum slightly up, so your ribs are a little bit open, and there's a positive feeling in your chest. And you lift the shoulders a little bit up and pull them a little bit back. See, if you're very relaxed, your shoulders hang a little bit too low. You don't want your shoulders hanging low. You're trying to find the middle position of your shoulders, and you're trying to find the center line of gravity from the crown of the head down through the sacrum. And you're still at the moment on straight legs. You're locking out the legs, so you keep the legs nice and straight. You've got a little bounce in the ankles. You're on the ball of the feet. And here now you can see me a bit more close up. And what you're trying to do also is breathe deeply into the back of the ribs. So the back of the ribs, you want to expand them as you inhale. Feel them stretch left and right, and as low down as possible, deep down into the bottom and the back of the ribs. So you're keeping the belly in. The belly will move slightly when you breathe, but you've got to keep tension there. That's the only work you've got to do, is keep the chi belt tight. And now we're trying it with bent legs. So you bend the knees a little bit, but when you bend the knees, you've got to project the hips. You want a little cantilever in the hips. So you stick your bottom a little bit backwards, so you keep that arch in the lumbar, and you're staying on the ball of the feet. The heels are very tiny bit off the floor, so you've got a spring load in the ankles and a spring load in your hips, and you've got a nice stretch through the S-curve of the spine, and your shoulders hanging up and back, elbows and wrists loose as possible. Now you also keep the tongue touching the roof of the mouth, and try and keep a stretch in the neck, the chin pulled in a bit, and you can feel here, so I'm always stretching my neck up and forward, trying to feel the best alignment for my skull on top of the spine. And the spine is at the back of the body, so you feel a bit like you're leaning backwards. It feels more like leaning backwards than leaning forwards. And to counteract that falling backwards or leaning backwards, you've got to keep the TA muscle pulled in. So now here, let's try a close up on the feet so you can see. So now my toes are pointing slightly outwards, so my knees can bend slightly outwards. So different internal styles and different Qigong styles have different positions, but I'm seeking the most efficient one. And we don't want to twist the knees, so the knees and toes always stay in alignment. In other words, whichever way you bend your knees, your toes have got to point in that direction. Or always bend the knees over the toes, so you're not bending your knees in a different direction to your toes. And I'm slightly on the heels, so I've got a spring load in the arch of my foot. You can also grip the toes. You're gripping between the very tip of the toes and the ball of the foot. So if you fall forward, you squeeze your toes and push back with the tip toes. And if you fall back, then you're pushing with the arch of the foot, the ankle. But you try not to let your heels go down. You've got to bounce there. Your whole body feels springy and bouncy, and it feels nice. When you get the alignment right, your weight disappears. This is why this correct posture is so important. Your efficiency will improve dramatically. We waste so much energy just holding our posture wrong. You see, if you're leaning forward too much, there's too much work to be done. This way there's less work. Your weight disappears. You'll feel lighter and lighter and lighter. But the work has to be done in the correct way, and the work is to lift up the rib cage and the shoulders, pull in the waistline, the chi belt. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this little video. Look forward to seeing you in the next one.